Welcome. And hopefully this is the one that works. We've tried and tried and tried and tried and tried to get this to work, and hopefully this is it. Now, as I'm seeing it's not working, I will say that to say this. I will not make another video on this. You guys have noticed Ayesha Curry does not get featured on the ESPN network. And a lot of you guys are probably wondering why. I never see you on my channel anyway. So for you to say, I just got your notification, I never really see you on my live chat. So it's not really saying too much. It's telling me that something went wrong yet again. But it's cool. I get it. Now, here's why you don't see this happening on ESPN. If you guys look at the thumbnail, it tells you and gives you a breakdown. Yeah, they are. It's vintage YouTube. But let's go through the obstacle ring anyway, shall we? Now, you might ask yourself, well, why are they doing this? Why is this happening? Why is this being a situation when regards to, hold on. Now, all right, sorry about that. We're back. Now, the problem is the NBA remembers everything from that thumbnail. Back in 2016, when they completely rigged the game so that the Cleveland Cavaliers can come back and win 3 straight. I predicted that they would win 3 straight. I predicted that they would win the championship, they very first, the entire season, because I told you it was fixed. But now you watch the episodes and you've seen a whole different thing. But after she posted that, it went a whole nother direction. She then complained about the Cleveland Cavaliers' treatment to the wives and family members when they were on the road and going to their facilities. She also was tweeting a lot and, making, you're Steph Curry's wife. You cannot be talking about the game is rigged. They had these conversations when they got home, and she hasn't made these type of things since. But they don't really feature her. The feature is Steph's father, which is Dale Curry, and his mom. Their 2 sons is on the court. It is not about Ayesha. But she's sitting next to the family, so they show her, and they'll mention, oh, there's Curry's wife and the family, his sister and everybody else, but it's about the Curry family right now, mostly the mom and dad. So they're gonna feature the mom and dad because they both of their sons are on the court. That makes sense. but still, they don't like it mentioned on their network shows. A lot of people don't want to mention it back and forth that, oh, this is what happened with such and such back then, and this is why such and such didn't do this, and it was that and this. And to be honest, that's just the only reason why. And I see a lot of you guys did not hit up the Cash App. You want me to go live, gotta hit the Cash App up or click the link below and hit the Streamlab up and make a donation. No donation to the page, no live. We have to go back to the old school ways. Well, they don't want no one to know. It's like the WWE or wrestling period. You don't want them to know what's behind the curtain. So if you don't want them to know what's behind the curtain, you definitely don't insinuate, especially when you're related or have a large following to the majority. The NBA is a business. If they allowed this to be a free game that let the best team win, we probably wouldn't see half of these NBA champions that we have now. They have to let their stars have the opportunity to be stars. They have to give the avenues to certain players, and certain other players have to play a role. This is, you can't speak freely of what you think about the game when it's over. They have guidelines and rules. This is how the game has been worked for years. This is how it's been played. You think the NBA wanted to give the Detroit Pistons an NBA championship? No, they did not. Isaiah knew what it would take to get to the NBA Finals and how to win a championship by learning from Magic. You cannot win an NBA championship and have zero identity. The league won't allow it because it doesn't help their market. And if you can't help their market, you can't help them. And if you can't help them, then what the hell are you doing there? Kawhi Leonard goes to the game. He goes to the game and he goes home. He barely goes around and do anything in Toronto. That tells you one of two things. Kawhi Leonard doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to be there. Everyone understands there's a business behind this. In order for the Detroit Pistons to win an NBA championship, this is what they had to do. Okay? And I want people to understand this. The Detroit Pistons, 20 years ago, my fault, might be 30. Let me see. Yeah, 30 years ago, 30, won their first NBA championship. And they won it the year prior when they called that ghost call on Bill Laimbeer and let Kareem Abdul-Jabbar shoot those 2 free throws. Why? Because the Pistons were large underdogs to win the NBA championship against the Lakers. They were huge underdogs. So if anybody betted on the Detroit Pistons in '88 when they played the Lakers, they were supposed to lose in 6 games. The NBA would have probably went bankrupt. Not the NBA, but they lost a lot of money. It would have screwed up a lot of different things that happened for the franchise. But the sports betting book would have lost tens of millions of dollars. That could not happen. They stole the NBA championship from the Detroit Pistons. Isaiah scoring all those points on one leg was changing the dynamics of that game. But they would not have even been to the NBA Finals had Isaiah Thomas not go out to that podium, do the interviews, had to apologize about the Larry Bird comment, did the press conference with Larry. He was giving Detroit an identity in '87 during that whole turmoil after the playoffs, and the Celtics went to lose to the Lakers and everything else. Once that was done, the whole summer, Isaiah just basically took a beating and sacrificed himself for Dennis Rodman and the rest of the team. That year, it brought everybody together because they felt that they were attacked and they played ferocious and they became the bad boys and they had an identity now. They had they represented the team, the people that didn't even watch basketball. People respected them in Detroit. They had the crossbones. They had their own branding. The Detroit Pistons were selling merchandise off the shelf. Bad boy gear. They were the rebels against the NBA. And the NBA loved it. When they took the Oakland Raiders gear and started wearing Oakland Raiders stuff instead of the Pistons gear, that was a spit in the face to David Stern and the rest of the NBA. Then they came out with their own bad boy apparel, which was owned exclusively by them. There was no rule to say you had to wear Piston attire or NBA attire on your own time. The NBA quickly woke up and realized that they were missing out on a piece of a market. So what they did was acquire the rights to the bad boys and all that and wanted to promote that more and more. And like, this team is happening. This team is good. They're winning games and they're physical. Everybody loves it. They're the most feared team in basketball. They're the villains. We have super villains now. So now those super villains are going against the super great Los Angeles Lakers, but they're still doubted. So you're going to lose this one. But in the next one, we're going to make it up to you because we know you're good enough to get here. And the team, no one could compare to the Pistons in '89. It was just a whitewash. They were light years better than every team in the NBA. They were the only team in the NBA that could go 10, 11 deep. They were a unit that had to be dealt with, and the league said, "Hey, we gotta fix this." So when they went to the NBA Finals, they knew that this was the last like hoorah for Magic and Isaiah and all them. So they wanted to have that passing of the torch to Isaiah and them getting, he's getting one up on Magic and the Isaiah Magic, the bad boys and the Lakers. So it was the reign of the bad boys. But by them going there, they were favored to beat the Lakers in the finals that year. So the odds wouldn't have taken a hit. Now you circumvent back to the next year when they won. That year, they're grooming Michael Jordan to be that guy. The NBC deal is on the table. They're growing in numbers. They bringing in Dick Ebersol on NBC to run the NBA. Dick Ebersol does not like the Detroit Pistons. He doesn't see this team as a team he wants to promote on his show. He will only promote them to be the villain, but in his story, why is the villain winning? They have 2 NBA championships. They've been to 3 NBA finals. We don't need the bad guys winning. It's time for the good guys to win now. We're in the end game where the bad guys get their lumps. So now we have to change the rules of the NBA to help weaken the Pistons. We're going to make a flagrant foul rule going into NBC because we got to clean it up. NBC is like, this is like network broadcast showtime. So this is what it was doing. And because the Pistons walked off the court before the game was over and they didn't shake the Bulls' hands and there was no passing of the torch to the Bulls, it angered Russ Granite. It angered Dick Ebersol. They wanted to punish Isaiah, which caused a lot of problems, more than what people would ever know. Well, you have to look at the scenarios. The league was already ways generated around superstars. Okay, if this thing was called right, there is no way the Philadelphia 76ers win that title in 84. Dr. J and the 76ers won the title in 84, and they had no business winning that shit. Not with that team. Dr. J played one more year after that. So they gave Doc his NBA championship, you know, for all he's done for the NBA and for basketball. MJ don't gotta forgive us for nothing. Those acts have been done before. The Celtics walked off the court on the Detroit Pistons when they did it. So it just wasn't Mikhail went back and shook hands, but that was it. The rest of the team, they just walked off the court. All the starters, they were gone. They were back in the locker room. They wanted to get out of there. What Jordan said is he agreed with what was actually the process. They threw the blame on Michael Jordan, but that decision came from Russ Granite and Dick Ebersol from NBC. They made the decision. David Stern thought they were being a little rash, but Russ Granite is the one that really made that decision. It was an egregious decision, but it definitely was made by the wrong people, in my opinion. Ugh. Well, I'll tell you this much. Um, when they get to the NBA Finals, they might do something for Ayesha, but I doubt it because they haven't since 2016. Once Kevin Durant's been there, they won two NBA titles. I have not seen her featured, not once. No, I don't feel that way. I feel that bye, Aisha. Yeah, people love that video, and I'm glad they like it. Oh, thanks, Ahmad. I'm glad you saw that. I don't think she needs to chill like LeBron's wife. I just think that now it's like when you're at a different point in your life. Oh man, it just makes no sense for the I mean, the NBA don't want to promote her as unless she's just packaged in with the Curry family, the mom and dad. That's what it's about. They don't even promote his sister like that. And that's their brother. They show her a little bit at the end, but they're not really focused on Aisha. Oh, here's what's really wrong with Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant